Discover the incredible moment a billionaire transforms a struggling single mother and her sixth son. Emily sat on her porch, the stars twinkling above her like a million flickering hopes. The laughter from the block party drifted her way, reminding her of brighter days when joy felt more abundant. Tonight, though, the weight of worry pressed upon her. Only weeks ago, her world had flipped. Little Jake, always so full of life, had been dealt a cruel hand, a rare illness that demanded expensive treatments. She fought not just for him, but for everything they built together. Working double shifts as a waitress and cleaning lady barely covered the avalanche of bills pouring in. Yet, here she was, staring up at the sky, desperately wishing for a miracle, any miracle. Her heart squeezed painfully at the thought of Jake's smile fading, overwhelmed by the gravity of his diagnosis. How had it come to this? She remembered her father's words about the American dream. Hard work and perseverance would lead to success. But now, doubt gnawed at her. Could sheer grit be enough? Far away, in a sleek high-rise, Adam, the billionaire who escaped Maplewood for the allure of success, was driving through the familiar streets, guilt weighing on him like an anchor. His extravagant life felt like a betrayal to the town that raised him. Each corner of Maplewood reminded him of the sacrifices of his own mother, who had struggled just like Emily. As he approached the gala he had planned to benefit his old hometown, he felt the familiar rush of nostalgia and shame intertwine. At the event, when Adam met Emily, he was struck. Her spirit lit up the dim room like a beacon in the night. He listened intently as she shared her story, a tale of love and relentless fight. The tears in her eyes and the determination in her voice ignited something within him. Here was a woman carving out a life for her son against the tide, and he couldn't just stand by. But as he considered reaching out to help, a storm brewed in his mind. Would his wealthy friends consider it meddling? Might it invite resentment from those who viewed money as a curse rather than a blessing? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days passed, the community buzzed with whispers. Some cheered Adam's intention to help. Others frowned, suspicious of his charity. They debated heatedly at the town hall, emotions flaring. Emily and Adam stood at the eye of the storm, caught between gratitude and doubt. Was the help they sought a hand up or a handout? The questions enveloped them, leaving Emily wrestling with the pride of a single mother and Adam with the weight of choices that echoed the past. With each twist and turn, it became clear their fates were intertwined. As the discussions intensified, both realized they were on a collision course toward revelations that would shake Maplewood to its core. The battle of ideals, a clash of privilege and perseverance, was just beginning. What would they discover about themselves, and would help indeed be perceived as an invasion rather than salvation? The morning sun flickered through the window, casting a soft glow in Emily's modest home. She stirred from her restless sleep, the previous day's emotions still swirling in her mind. The weight of uncertainty loomed large. Today was the town meeting, the pivotal gathering that could decide Jake's future, as well as the direction of her own life and her relationship with Adam. That a quick glance at Jake reminded her why she fought so fiercely. His little face was serene, but the rise and fall of his chest echoed the fragility of his condition. She tiptoed to his side, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead, her heart tight. She had to be strong for him. The drive to the town hall was an uphill battle against her nerves. With each mile, more doubts crept in. The community had grown suspicious of Adam. His wealth had created a chasm she could sense widening whenever his name was mentioned. Would they ever accept his help, or would it create fractures that couldn't be mended? As she pulled into the parking lot, anxiety gripped her. She stepped into the hall, where the air was thick with tension and chatter. Faces turned as people acknowledged her presence, and whispers followed in her wake. What would they say? Would they judge her for wanting help from a billionaire? Adam stood at the front, radiating a confidence she found both magnetic and intimidating. His blue eyes found hers as he began to speak. We have an opportunity tonight to effect real change, he said, his voice booming, yet laced with humility. There is no shame in asking for assistance. We thrive together, or we falter alone. She admired his determination, but felt the prick of fear. What if the townsfolk saw his words as a threat instead of a promise? As the meeting progressed, tension spilled over like a shaken soda can. Voices rose and fell, creating a cacophony of concern and hope. We don't need rich outsiders telling us how to solve our problems, someone yelled. The room echoed with murmurs of agreement, and Emily's stomach twisted painfully. Fear washed over her. Was she part of the problem? Was accepting Adam's help somehow betraying her community? But then, Adam's gaze met hers again, and she saw something that changed her perspective: determination. His willingness to stand up for her, for Jake, in front of everyone stirred a flickering hope within her. Perhaps there was a way to navigate this choppy water together. With renewed resolve, Emily stood up, her heart racing. I understand your concerns, she began, her voice shaky but strong. But sometimes love is messy, and we need each other. I can't bear the thought of losing Jake, and I don't want to lose our community either. If Adam's support can bridge that gap, maybe that's worth fighting for. The room fell silent. Eyes shifted, and she felt all weight descend upon her shoulders. The response was sudden and overwhelming, a mixture of gasps and murmurs filled the air. Before anyone could react, a deep voice rumbled from the back of the hall. If we're talking about losing someone we love, it's time we considered how to unite rather than divide. Help could be the very lifeline we need. Emily's heart swelled. Adam stood behind her, supporting her unconditionally. She took a deep breath, waiting as the community looked between her and Adam, their expressions shifting from skepticism to contemplation. This was a pivotal moment. One choice could change the course of everything. Would they come together, or surrender to fear and suspicion? As the silence hung heavy in the air, Emily realized her fears may hinge on the next few words spoken. Would the town accept this untraditional approach to support, or would they dismiss it, allowing doubt to win? The question loomed, and her resolve strengthened. What would happen if they embraced the challenges together? Would Emily find not just support, but family in unexpected places? The answers lay just ahead, beckoning her to step further into the unknown. The silence in the room was palpable, like a canvas waiting for colors to be splashed on. Emily's heart hammered loudly in her chest as she stood before her neighbors, the weight of their gazes piercing her skin. She sensed every doubt, every question, hanging in the air. She could almost hear their minds churning. Could this outsider really make a difference? Wasn't the town better off on its own? Before she could dwell on these fears too long, Adam stepped forward, eyes fixed firmly on the audience. I understand your vigilance, he began, his voice a steady anchor against the rising tide of anxiety in the room. But I'm not here to take control. I believe in potential, that of this town and of the people within it. Together, we can build something stronger. Together, we can heal. A murmur traveled through the crowd. Some nodded, while others set their jaws tight, unconvinced. Emily swallowed hard, feeling the swell of hope and fear collide within her chest. Imagine what our resources could do, Adam continued, his blue eyes scanning the crowd with genuine warmth. This community has faced so many challenges. I'm not here to erase your history or dictate your future. I'm here to offer an extension of support if you want it. The tension in the room began to shift, like the slow uncurling of a fist. Emily could see the skepticism in her neighbor's eyes beginning to give way to curiosity. Perhaps they were ready to hear him out. Please, she said, her voice clearer now. If there is a chance this could help Jake and others like him, I believe it's worth exploring. It could change not just our futures, but the future of the entire community. Adam isn't just a billionaire, he is someone willing to listen and learn. Suddenly, a woman from the front row stood up. Emily recognized her as Mrs. Anderson, a longtime resident and often the loudest critic. And what about the rest of us? She challenged, her voice thin but unwavering. What's in this for you, Adam? Adam didn't flinch. He met her gaze with sincerity. What's in it for me is seeing families thrive, he said, his voice rising slightly with passion. It's about connection. I could have easily stayed in my world, but I choose to be present because I want to make a difference together with all of you. The ripples of his words began to resonate. Emily felt the atmosphere shift again. Perhaps the raw honesty was what they needed. Perhaps this was how bridges were built. That a young man stood up, spirit ignited by a communal spark. If we do this, what is the plan? He asked, leaning forward. What is the first step? Adam smiled, grateful for the engagement. To start, we need your input. What do you all envision for our community moving forward? We can allocate funds for healthcare, education, or even start local business initiatives. This isn't about me imposing ideas. It's about us dreaming together. Optimism bloomed in the air, igniting whispers of possibilities. Emily felt her heart flutter. Was it really happening? Had fear been chased away by hope? The meeting continued, filled with discussions, and suggestions flew around the room from those who had once felt abandoned. Emily's heart swelled with pride for her town, for the resilience that surged within them. Despite the uncertainty that remained as people began to huddle into small groups, sharing ideas. Emily glanced over at Adam. He caught her gaze, raising an eyebrow, a silent question lingering there. Was this enough? But just then, a sudden shout came from the back of the room, swift and sharp like a knife cutting through the warm air. What is going to happen when the money runs out? How do we guarantee this isn't a temporary fix? Everyone's attention turned to the speaker, and Emily's stomach dropped. The crowd suddenly felt colder. Doubt slithered back in, threatening to overshadow the fragile hope they had just built. Emily could see the tension returning as whispers filled the room. Would they unravel all they'd built in a matter of moments? In this precarious moment of uncertainty, Emily felt time slow as all eyes turned to her and Adam. Would they find a way to solidify what had been started, or would the fear of the past cloud their chance to create something new? The next words spoken could ignite that flicker of hope or extinguish it altogether. What path would they choose now? The answers were hanging in the balance, waiting for someone to take another step forward. Emily felt the weight of the room pressing down on her. That question sharp, precise cut through the newfound hope like a jagged rock tossed into a clear pond. The ripple effect of doubt spread. Whispers erupted, each voice building a wall of skepticism around them. Adam caught sight of Emily's concern and stepped forward again. I understand your fears, he said, his voice deepening with conviction. But let me assure you, we're not just looking for a quick fix. This is about sustainability. I want to build partnerships that endure. We'll establish a community fund that's not just a splash of cash, but a continuous support system. He addressed the crowd, his hand raised as if to command their attention. We'll work together to create a model other towns can look up to. But I need your input, your voices in this process. What will keep us resilient and thriving? Silence hung in the air for a moment, heavy and thick. Emily noticed a few faces soften, an ember of hope flickering back to life. Mrs. Anderson, arms crossed tightly, hesitated. The fire of defiance in her eyes dimmed as Adam spoke. Imagine, Adam continued, a local business supported by plans we create together. Regular events to pull in community members, stimulating our economy rather than letting it fade. I want to know what makes this place special to you, what you want to retain, and what we can evolve together. Emily could see a shift. Slowly, there were nods, murmurs of intrigue. Even the young man who had posed the tough question leaned forward, curiosity clearly battling his earlier skepticism. Okay, let us say we trust you, a voice chimed in from the back. A tall man, his brow furrowed. What about accountability? How do we ensure that this money doesn't just dissipate like fog? What kind of transparency can we expect? Eyes darted between Adam and Emily. There was pressure, a charge in the air. They needed a plan, something firm to latch onto. Your concerns are valid, Adam replied, urgency coloring his tone. I propose we set up a community advisory board. A team of you residents who represent various aspects of your lives will help oversee funding allocation. You'll have a voice, and I'll listen. A tangible shift occurred. Discussions sparked up again, and for the first time, there were smiles interspersed between frowns. In the very back of the room, a teenager raised her hand. What if we fail? What if nothing changes, and we're back to where we started? That's what we're scared of. Emily felt her chest tighten, but Adam remained composed, locking eyes with the girl. What if we succeed? He countered gently. Imagine your dreams taking flight, and this town becoming a place where future generations can thrive. We want to succeed if we don't go for it together. If we fear failure more than striving for success, nothing changes, and we miss opportunities. Her heart raced as Adam's words hung in the air, merging with the growing energy. He turned to Emily, and she saw the determination reflected in his gaze. Those small, fractured hope moments had turned into something resilient, something that pulsed with life. Could they really make this work? A sense of urgency surrounded Emily as the room filled with chatter again, ideas bouncing back and forth like basketballs on a court. Hope was slowly growing roots in the fertile ground of uncertainty. Then, Mrs. Anderson raised her hand again. All right, Adam, let us say we decide to move forward. Will our past funding issues be addressed? Can we count on you to stick this out? Or will you pull the rug at the first sign of trouble? The room held its breath. This was an undeniable turning point. Would Adam convince them that nothing would repeat the mistakes of the past? Emily knew something significant was about to unfold. The tension was electric. Were they on the brink of a pivotal change, or was this just another illusion? The answer danced on the horizon, waiting to be unveiled. Adam drew in a deep breath, his expression resolute as he faced the crowd's wary eyes. I promise, he began with a steady voice, that I won't let you down. My commitment isn't just to this project. It's to you and your families. We need to learn from our mistakes and ensure transparency every step of the way. You have my word that if anything feels off, you'll have a direct line to me, and I mean that. A ripple of muted whispers fluttered through the room. Emily could sense the flicker of doubt still lingering, but there was something more in eagerness, a hunger for change. She took a step toward Adam, confident in the unity that had begun to form. Maybe we could also create monthly meetups, she suggested, her voice resonating. We could gather to share updates, discuss challenges, and most importantly, celebrate small victories. Adam nodded, smiling at her encouragement. Exactly, Emily. This has to be a two-way street. Everyone here should feel fully engaged, not just in the beginning, but throughout the entire process. Across the room, more heads began to nod. Emily caught Mrs. Anderson's eye. The older woman still seemed guarded, but the lines of tension around her mouth had softened. Fine, she said slowly, I'll go along with this for now. But believe me, I'm keeping close tabs on all of it. A chuckle rippled through the crowd. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. They were starting to believe, even if just a little. The tension that had once choked the air was lifting, replaced by bursts of laughter and excitement. As discussions grew, Emily felt herself being swept along with the tide of enthusiasm. It was contagious. Help us understand the areas most impacted, another voice chimed in, an older gentleman who had sat quietly through much of the meeting. We should focus our energy where it will do the most good. I agree, Emily shouted, feeling the fire inside her grow. We need to map our strengths and weaknesses, our resources and our gaps. This isn't just about money. It's about our spirit. Adam beamed. That's the attitude we need. Let us set up a community retreat next weekend. We can identify all our possibilities. It means rolling up our sleeves, but I know we can do it. Emily felt her heart swell with pride. Suddenly, a part of her realized they were no longer just a community struggling to survive. They were a team ready to dive into action. The electricity was palpable, and she sensed a shared momentum building. The chatter began to fade as a new voice emerged, quieter yet full of warmth. It was the teenager from before. Can we not just focus on what we can achieve as a community? Like, what if we can create programs that keep our students engaged? Yes, Adam replied, leaning into her enthusiasm. We need your perspective more than ever. Young people represent the future. We have to ensure their dreams are nurtured, and incorporating your ideas matters. The teenager smiled, their earlier fears melting away. Laughter and anticipation washed over the room as they began to discuss plans, jotting down notes, and sketching ideas on the whiteboard. Emily could hardly believe the change. The very walls of doubt seemed to dissolve. But just then, murmurs resurfaced, a tension threading through the growing excitement. Will we really have the resources? Will they actually invest? A woman questioned. Her eyes were wide, a mix of hope and wariness. Adam paused, capturing the moment with a steady gaze. I want to make promises I can't keep, but it's up to all of us. We build the future we want together, and I promise to be there for all of you, to navigate whatever comes next. Tension hung delicately in the room once more. The stakes felt higher than ever. Could they really make something lasting from this? Emily glanced at Adam, their eyes locking in a shared understanding. The spark of hope still simmered beneath uncertainty, but with every word spoken, every plan forged, they were edging closer to a brighter future. Just then, a voice broke through. What happens if we take that first step, and it all crashes? Suddenly, how do we prepare for that? Emily knew they were on the edge of something profound, and the question lingered like a tightrope stretched over uncertainty. What if they took that leap and fell? How would they rise again? The moment of truth loomed, waiting to unfold before them all. The room was silent, the weight of the question hanging in the air. Emily could feel the tension wrap around her like a heavy blanket, suffocating the optimism that had begun to bloom. She swallowed hard, her heart racing. It was a question that echoed many of their unspoken fears. What if they did take that first step, and it all came crashing down? Adam cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention back to him. That's a valid concern, he said, his voice steady, yet warm. Failure is a possibility we can't ignore. But it's also an opportunity, a chance to learn, to grow stronger together. Emily noticed Mr. Thompson, the old man who had spoken earlier, frowning thoughtfully. His brow furrowed. But how do we ensure we can catch each other if we fall? We can't afford to lose what little hope we're holding on to. Those words pierced through Emily, igniting a fire within her. What if we create a safety net? She blurted out, her voice rising with enthusiasm. Like a support system where we all look out for one another? Like a buddy system for adults. A wave of murmurs cascaded through the room, and Adam smiled broadly at her idea. Yes, let us team up. Each person can be responsible for checking in with their buddy, sharing challenges, and brainstorming solutions together. Emily could see the flickers of excitement growing again. It was as if everyone had been waiting for a spark, waiting for something to believe in. No longer were they just a crowd of anxious individuals. They were beginning to shift into a collective force. The teenager from before nodded eagerly. We could even use social media to connect and share ideas regularly. It would keep the conversations going, even when we're not together. Exactly, Adam added. Using technology to bridge our gaps can strengthen our community. Let us create a dedicated platform or a group chat. The chatter swelled into a buzzing chorus, voices overlapping, laughter spilling out, and the air filled with invigorated hope. Emily could almost see the dream taking shape before her. A community where they weren't just neighbors, but a real family, guiding each other towards success. But amidst the joy, the nagging question still lingered in Emily's chest. Would it really work? They were filled with ideas, but would those ideas translate into true, sustainable change? She turned to Adam, searching his expression for reassurance. And if things start to crumble? If our ideas don't pan out? The doubt in her voice was clear, but she felt undeniably charged by the seeds of hope they were planting. Adam held her gaze, his resolve unwavering. Then we adapt. We'll regroup, reassess, and find a new path together. Community means sharing burdens, and that includes facing failures openly. We've already taken a step towards building trust, and it will guide us through any storm. A wave of applause erupted from the crowd, punctuated by cheers and laughter. Emily couldn't remember the last time she felt this alive, this connected to something greater than herself. It was intoxicating, but just as the energy surged, a sudden crash echoed from the neighboring hall. The laughter stopped cold, replaced by anxious whispers. They turned towards the source of the sound, concern creeping back into their expressions. What was that? Someone murmured, eyes darting around the room. Adam motioned for calm, his face a mask of focus. Let's check it out. Together. The atmosphere shifted from buoyant hope to something akin to a collective apprehension. Emily's heart raced again. What kind of obstacle might they be facing now? As they filed out of the room, a tangible energy rippling through them, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was waiting for them outside had the potential to shake the foundations of their newfound resolve. As the group stepped into the hallway, she felt like they were crossing a threshold into the unknown. And deep down, beneath the layers of uncertainty, a part of her whispered, this could be the defining moment of their journey. Would they face this challenge united, or would it reveal the cracks they had tried to cover? The answer loomed just ahead, waiting to be discovered. The corridor was dimly lit, the familiar hum of chatter replaced by anxious murmurs. Emily's heart thudded in her chest as they approached the wide double doors at the end of the hall. Would they find trouble or a chance to prove their courage? A few people crowded at the entrance, peering through the crack. Adam reached the door first and swung it open, revealing a chaotic scene. Tables were overturned, chairs scattered, and what looked to be a broken display case glimmered on the floor amid shards of glass. The air was thick with tension, alarmed faces glancing back at Adam and the others. "What happened?" Adam asked, stepping cautiously inside, his authoritative tone reassuring. A woman from the crowd, her hands shaking, took a step forward. It was the kids. They were having a game, and her voice faltered, panic bubbling beneath the surface. They didn't mean to break it. Emily felt the room tense further. Those kids, the wild energy in them had always been a blend of joy and chaos. But now, it seemed their playful antics had inadvertently caused a rift. "Take a deep breath. We've got this," Adam said, his hand outstretched towards the woman. "Let us start by cleaning this up. We can fix this together." The group shuffled in, the initial shock beginning to morph into a united purpose. People divided on instinct. Some started collecting the broken pieces, while others comforted the nervous kids who had gotten caught up in the mess. Emily joined a pair of young mothers, dustpans in hand. "Hey, it's okay," she murmured to a little girl sitting on the floor, her lip quivering. "Accidents happen. We just need to clean up." Emily felt the girl nod slowly, her fears slowly retreating as they worked side by side. A part of Emily swelled with pride as she watched everyone come together. No more whispers of failure, it was now about finding solutions. A voice broke her reverie. "Maybe if we make a plan beforehand, we can avoid this next time?" The suggestion came from the teenager who had proposed the social media strategy. He was brushing away glass under the table while the younger kids helped him with paper towels. "You're right," Adam said, patting the boy on the shoulder. "We should have guidelines for activities like this. Let us add it to our discussion later." The sense of community grew stronger with every step they took to clear the space. Emily couldn't help but smile. This small setback was bringing them closer, igniting bonds she'd only dreamed of before. Hope surged within her. Maybe, just maybe, they really could create something lasting together. As the last of the glass was cleared away, a ripple of applause ran through the group. They had done it. They had faced a challenge and transformed it into an opportunity for connection. Emily felt a warmth in her chest. They were a family now, and this was a moment she would cherish forever. But just as she absorbed the joy in the room, the woman who had initially expressed panic spoke up again. "What if something worse happens next time? What if it's not just an accident?" The room fell silent. The flickering hope met with a shadow of doubt, each person contemplating her words deeply. As Emily looked around, she realized they had made it this far, facing fears together. Could they keep building that trust, that safety net, as they moved forward? Suddenly the weight of the question felt heavy again. "Let's tackle whatever comes our way as one," Adam said, cutting through the silence, determination painting his every word. "Together, we can. This community is stronger than we think." As they nodded and rallied around him, Emily felt a strange mix of exhilaration and anxiety. What else lay ahead? What challenges awaited them? The answer hovered in the air, just out of reach, as the lights flickered overhead. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty, yet sparks of determination ignited in the air. Emily gazed around the room, taking in the concerned faces, the children clinging to their parents, unsure but hopeful. There was a shared vulnerability among them. A new realization dawned. Every story carried its bearings, and this was theirs. "Hey, how about a team cheer?" shouted a voice from the back. It was Mike, a local businessman who often served as the unofficial optimist. "Let us show that we're not just any community. We're a powerful one." His enthusiasm spread like wildfire. "On three, we shout, together," he declared, positioning himself for the moment. Emily couldn't help but feel a smile creep onto her face. "1, 2, 3 together," they shouted, a chorus carrying warmth and hope. Their voices bounced off the walls and melted the lingering tension. The little girl Emily had comforted earlier looked up, her eyes wider now, sparkles of belief dancing in them. Suddenly, the flickering lights steadied. Perhaps it was a sign that hope was on the way, or maybe just a minor electrical glitch, but for Emily, it was the push that reminded her that they were moving in the right direction. "Let us keep the momentum going," Adam called, gathering everyone's attention again. Can we all share an idea on how we can fortify our gatherings? What can we do next time to make it even better? People started tossing ideas into the circle, bouncing off each other, sparking creativity. There were talks of safety charts, games that wouldn't break anything, or maybe even designated play areas for the kids that they brainstormed. Emily felt her spirit lift. Words like safety, trust, and hope wove through the conversations, forming a fabric they could all stand on. These were not just empty ideas. They held promise, a foundation for connection. Then, amid the supportive chatter, she spotted the young girl again. Tears had found their way to her cheeks, now soft and glimmering. With a sudden surge of courage, Emily knelt beside her. "You okay?" she asked gently. "I didn't mean to make a mess," the girl whispered, sniffling. "Hey now, it was an accident. And look, we're all here together because of it. Accidents can lead to beautiful things, like us making a stronger community," Emily reassured her, feeling a warmth spread in her own heart. The girl smiled weakly, and that glimmer shined brighter. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the room. Everyone turned, their hearts racing. A small group of kids had crowded by a bookshelf, a stack of books tumbling to the floor. For a moment, silence enveloped the group, tension rising again. "Let us remain calm," Adam said quickly, his voice steady. "Just keep breathing. We're okay." But the question lingered in the air like a heavy weight. Was this a sign that trouble still lurked? Would their newfound unity withstand chaos? As they rushed toward the children, Emily caught sight of the crowd, each person ready to confront whatever lay ahead. Together, in that moment, a wave of resolve washed over her. They were more resilient than ever before. After all, how many chances would they have to build something meaningful from the ground up? Yet, even as hope glimmered, that looming question taunted her. What else would come crashing down? Determined, she held tight to the small girl beside her and stepped forward, ready for the unknown. Just as she did, the lights flickered again, making everyone shift their gazes upward with a collective gasp. Would this be their moment to shine, or would darkness envelope them once more? The lights flickered once more, casting strange shadows on the faces in the room. Emily gripped the small girl's hand tighter, feeling the pulse of anxiety ripple through the crowd. She caught Adam's gaze. He seemed to mirror her own worry, but there was still a calculated calm about him. "Okay, let us focus," he said, raising his hand delicately, as if to stop time itself. "We want to be present for each other. We see the chaos, but we also see each other. Let us take a breath." In that moment, the air shifted. Slowly, everyone began to inhale and exhale together, deep breaths that harmonized like a delicate melody. The tension lessened just enough for a few small smiles to emerge, each reflecting a flicker of courage. Emily turned back to the small girl and nudged her gently. "See? We can handle this together." The little girl nodded, her earlier tears now drying as curiosity replaced sorrow. She looked around the room, observing the way strangers banded together, worry etched on their faces but determination shining through. Emily also noticed parents leaning down to talk to their children, reassuring them that everything would be all right. And in that moment, something sparked in Emily. It was more than just resilience. It was the realization of their potential, the incredible strength that sprang from unity. "Let us talk about how we can help each other during tough times," Emily proposed, her voice steady. "What if we create an alliance among us? A way to ensure everyone feels safe and supported?" Nods of agreement rippled through the crowd. "Yes," someone shouted from the back. "We can have regular check-ins. A support group," another mother added, "and meals. Some families might need help cooking or food supplies." Encouraged by the suggestions, Emily felt each moment glancing like threads weaving into their shared fabric. It felt beautiful, alive, and hopeful, a whole tapestry stitched from fragments of individual worries. Just outside, the wind howled, but inside, they were forming a shield against any storm. As the group continued bouncing ideas, Emily felt herself energized by this collective spirit. She visualized a community garden where families could come together to plant seeds of nourishment and joy, surrounding themselves with warmth. A safe haven. But then, a sudden hush fell over the room. An older gentleman, quiet until now, stood up, trembling slightly. "I lost my wife a few months ago. I've been struggling to navigate this world alone. You all remind me of what I've missed: community." His voice cracked, But the honesty was bold and raw. The air shifted again, this time with heaviness. Emily's heart ached for him. She swallowed hard, reaching out for him. You are not alone. We've got your back. The crowd reacted. People began to gather around the man, offering their hands, their shoulders comfort. Emily could see glimmers of light returning to familiar faces. They were gathering to create something more than hope. They were cultivating connection. But still, in the back of her mind, the question persisted. Would they still be able to stand strong when actual storms arrived? Just as Emily resolved to explore this new chapter of unity, a loud bang jolted from the back door. It swung open, revealing a shadowy figure framed by the gallery of flickering lights. Stakes of uncertainty and curiosity collided as all heads turned. Did I hear the words unity? The figure called out, stepping forward. It was darker than the room before someone uninvited. Yet familiar, what would this encounter bring? Would it build upon the rising hope like a new dawn, or threaten to extinguish their newfound flame? The figure stepped into the room, and Emily's heart raced. It was Tom, a man once proud in his community, but now often shunned for poor choices. He stood at the entrance, a shadow from the past. The murmurs in the room transformed into a worried hush as he flashed an uneasy smile. Did I catch you at a bad time? He asked, nervously scratching the back of his neck. Emily's stomach twisted. Would this man, the embodiment of past mistakes, shatter everything they had built? Adam stepped forward, eyes narrowing. Tom, what are you doing here? His voice held both caution and curiosity. Tom hesitated, glancing around at the faces judgment and recognition pooled in their eyes. I heard about tonight. I just wanted to see it. To maybe ask for a second chance. The skepticism in the air was thick, palpable. Emily could feel it pressing down on her. They had worked so hard to foster trust, and now this man, who had once driven division, appeared to test their resolve. She broke the silence. Tom, do you really understand what we're trying to do here? He nodded, his certainty wavering. I do, and I want to be a part of it. I've made mistakes, but I can change. I just need help. Pausing, Emily's eyes softened. We're not here to shun anyone. We're building something different, based on hope and strength together. If you want to join us, show us you're serious. What can you contribute? Tom's lips parted. I could help start those community gardens. I know how to work the land. It was my father's gift to me before. His voice trailed off, shame washing over his expression. The crowd glanced at one another, uncertainty still hovering. It was a chance for redemption to turn past negatives into a future positive. You don't have to prove anything right now. Just show up, Adam replied, his tone even and firm. The air lightened, slowly unfolding into a tapestry of possibilities. If we truly want change, Emily remarked, emboldened, we need everyone on board, even those who have stumbled. It's about healing, not rejection. A few voices chimed in support, a soft murmur, a nod of agreement. Could it be? Was it really happening? Tom's shoulders relaxed slightly. Thank you. I won't let you down. As they transformed this moment together, the crowd slowly let go of their previous tension. It was awkward, but the change was palpable, like shifting gears into unfamiliar territory, a leap toward camaraderie. Let us welcome him into the fold. Someone called from the back, and the energy shifted again. Emily felt her chest swell. This was growth. This was community redefining itself. Unity didn't mean erasing mistakes. It meant embracing them to rise up stronger. Okay, it's decided, Adam declared, smiling at Tom with unexpected warmth. We'll have our gardening team meetings starting next week. All of us can brainstorm about making it a reality. Cheers erupted. There it was again, the warmth of hope, flickering across their faces like a sunrise breaking through the clouds. Challenges would always arise, but they were ready to face them together. As Emily looked around the room, she saw determination, kindness, acceptance. This was new. It felt raw, yet it flowed with promise. They didn't just represent a single community now. They embodied a family fighting for each other as futures. Time passed like a gentle breeze. The discussions became lively, ideas flowing like a river. They rallied together, eyes sparkling with possibility, quirks and all. It didn't matter about the past. They were building something beautiful. As the night unfolded, Emily's heart filled with joy. This moment marked a pivotal turning point. Perhaps they would stumble again. Perhaps the journey would be anything but simple. But even amid uncertainty, they had established a foundation based on faith in one another. Their laughter blended under the soft hum of chatter, wrapping her presence like a warm hug. In this sea of faces she recognized, and some she didn't see, she felt surrounded by countless kindred spirits. Together, they were unstoppable. And the kid at her side grinned up at her, inspired by the change, the sheer brightness of it all. He saw Emily helping others find hope, as Adam encouraged them. It was the community they had all hoped for, a glimmering vision suddenly within reach. This night, under the twinkling lights of Maplewood, something incredible had unfurled the journey toward unyielding strength. Hope and transformation had just begun. Together, they would carve out their place in history, not as vulnerable individuals, but as a tight-knit family destined to rise from the ashes. This was their moment. They would embrace it fully, and nothing could dim the light that now radiated within their hearts. Now, it's your turn to be part of this journey. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear your thoughts. Let's keep the inspiration alive.